Hey everybody, Real with Wes. Welcome to Monday, starting off a new week here. Hope you guys had a great holiday weekend. Some of you guys are still in it today. Some of you guys had it Friday. But whichever way, pray that you had an awesome time with family and had an enjoyable time, whatever you're choosing to celebrate this weekend. And for those though, happy Independence Day, and which was yesterday. And let's just jump on into this week. So the title this week we're going to go with is Stressed Out. And it's got question marks following that. So you'll see that in the caption on this video here. But I want to talk about this thing about stress. And people we talk about stress a lot. We could easily talk about that. But I really want to talk about dealing with it and not operating from a place of stress, not letting stress govern your life. You realize you can live free from stress. Now, when I say free from stress, it doesn't mean you won't experience stress. Doesn't mean you won't have the opportunity to be stressed out, and that sometimes you won't fall subject to it at times. But my main thing is where you don't let stress dominate your life. That's the goal we want to talk about. So the first thing we got to understand is, where does stress come from? And that's what I want to talk about today. And then I'm going to give a little tidbit how to kind of deal with it, and then we'll unfold it and unpack it throughout the rest of the week. So let's talk about where stress comes. I'm going to build up into it. It's just really one word I'm going to go with. But stress can come from a circumstance or situation. Whenever we have a circumstance or situation, especially where I didn't say negative, I didn't say positive, but a circumstance or situation. Now let me build up. Stress comes from when that circumstance could be, one thing about that, sorry, let me back up. It comes from a circumstance or situation. The other part about that circumstance, it could be perceived or reality. That's important to realize. Sometimes you have to check the fact of what you're stressed out can be based on misinformation or misperception or something that's actually not based in reality, which is a big thing. Fear likes to manufacture things to be stressed out for. Sometimes we're stressed out because we think someone thinks negative about us, and that's not even what the first thing on their mind. So we create this stress that doesn't actually exist in the realm of reality. So you need to figure out that stress can come from something that actually is a real circumstance or situation, or one we fabricate, unfortunately, or someone fabricates for us. So we have to check that. Next thing is, where does stress come from? When that situation or circumstance appears to have a negative outcome or an outcome we don't desire. So we got a circumstance or situation that has come up, and it could be based in reality, or it could be based on perceived, and it's actually not based in reality. And when we take a look at that circumstance or situation and it's not looking like a favorable outcome, now that can be that it's a good outcome, not coming out as a good outcome, or the outcome we don't desire. And I'll talk about more of that this following week as we get into that, because that's going to be important too. But this is understanding how to locate the stress. Why are you saying this? If you can't locate the stress and the thing that's causing the stress, you're going to have a lot of issues going on, and it's going to be hard to deal with it and manage it and overcome it. It's just going to keep railroading you. Now, ultimately, where is the source of this perception coming from? The source of the stress coming from? It's our perception. It's how we're looking at the circumstance or situation. Well, as I said, sometimes it's not even based in reality. That's a perception thing. No matter what you are dealing with, you have to remember, you have to take your power back. That's what I want to kind of deal. Take your power back. When you say you don't recognize, it's how you're looking at the situation that's causing the stress. You give up all control to deal with the stress, and all of a sudden you're giving up also all responsibility. And that's hard to say, and saying, I'm just going to allow this to stress me out because you don't know what I'm dealing with. You don't know this. And it doesn't mean minimize what you're dealing with. It doesn't mean minimize the pain of it. It doesn't mean minimize the frustration of it. We're not talking about that, but how you look at it. Remember the favorable outcome, how this thing's going to end, how this thing's going to turn out. Are you perceiving something that actually is based in reality, or is it a total misunderstanding? All this is how you look at it. Everything is based in how you look at it. So if you want to get the stress off of it, it doesn't mean making the situation, the circumstance. What it does, it means getting the stress out of the way so you can be in a position of power to actually deal with it, to deal with whatever that situation, circumstance, or if it's a misperception, you can clear it out of your way and it be totally dissolved and gone, being realized oh, that's not even reality. I don't know why I was thinking that. This came from here. This wasn't truth. It wasn't based in fact. Then you can eradicate the situation altogether from your day and live a lot happier. So ultimately, how do you change your perception? Well, first of all, ultimately it comes from God. And really, I tell people it's the Holy Spirit. You start with the love of God, how to look at things. You start with God's way of looking at things. We renew our mind, and we want to shape our mind to think the way God thinks. That's a whole part of the process. But some of the most practical things is to pause for a moment. To pause. We get such in a rush. We get so going. We get so overwhelmed. And if you can't ever hit the pause button for a moment and pull aside, it's hard to even try to process what you're dealing with. It's hard to try to assess yourself. So what do you need to do first? When you feel it, first you need to recognize you are stressed. Second of all, that the pressure's there. Second of all, you need to pause so you can actually deal with it. And 3, you need to start asking yourselves questions. Okay, what is it I'm actually stressed about? Locate what it is. Locate what it is. So first of all, we're admitting we're stressed. We're taking a pause about it. And we're locating what is the source of my stress. A lot of times what we think is stressing out is not the real issue. There's an underlying issue many a times. What is it making us afraid? What is that's causing the pressure? What is it how we're looking at the situation? So what is actually stressing us out? Locating that. Then ask yourself, is this real or is it not? Is it, because when it's not real, it's a distraction many a times too. So you ask yourself, is this based in reality or is it based in my fears? Now, if it's based in your fears, then you start processing, okay, why am I being afraid of something that isn't even real? And all of a sudden logic kicks in and you're like, I don't even know why I'm messing with that. That's not even right. Let me clean that up. Let me clear that up. Sometimes it's a conversation with someone to get clarification. A lot of times clarity and clarification comes with that process. But let's say the circumstance situation is real and it is a problem you're facing. You need to take a step back now. You say, okay, I've located this. All right, now I need to change how I'm looking at it. You're looking at it and saying, well, this isn't going to work out. You have all these added thoughts. The narrative you're placing on the facts and the circumstances saying, this is how it's going to, you don't know if it's going to end that way. You still have time to do things. And you have to assess whether, okay, is this something I can do in my control? Or is it something that is out of my control? And either way, first of all, you're giving it over to God and you're saying, God, what did I do with this? You bring it before God. So we're acknowledging we're stressed. We're pausing for a moment and pulling ourselves aside. We're locating what our stress is about. We're deciding whether this is reality or not, if it's something that we even need to deal with. And then we're bringing it before God is what we're doing it. And when we bring it before God is what we're doing it, we're going to allow ourselves to finish processing this thing and allowing God to make us look at it differently, to shift our perception. And when that perception shifts, many times the wisdom follows. And that's where the Spirit of God gives you wisdom. And wisdom brings action. That action may be, I don't need to do anything but trust God because I have no control over it. God, I give it to you and I trust you. And then it may be, God, I give it to you and trust you, but here's what I'm going to do to follow up and do X, Y, and Z. And I see the solution. Why? Because you got out of the fear, the panic of it, and all of a sudden you pause for a moment and you realize, I know what to do now in this moment. And now you're operating from a place of rest, trusting in God, and you're moving forward and pursuing it. All right, guys, I can keep going. It's almost a whole sermon that will come out of this. Let's get back at this tomorrow, though. Keep coming each day as we'll keep adding another piece. But go back and re-listen to this because I know I gave a lot of steps and things. You're probably going to need to listen to it. Can't keep repeating. But that's the beauty of these being recorded, these being put up, these being posted. You can go back and start walking yourself through these steps and start practicing and renewing your mind. And I promise you, you can defeat stress. You can overcome stress. Stress does not have to dominate your life. You can live free from it. That is the promise of God. That is the love of God that's promised to you. And I encourage you to pursue that. All right, I'll catch you tomorrow, guys.